Hi, it is said that necessity is the mother of inventions. Well, it is true. Some months ago our territory was struck by a Class 5 hurricane called Maria just days after it was already struck by another Class 5 hurricane called Irma. Yes, you heard it right, two cyclones with a week of difference between them and one of the inevitable consequences, near 90 days without power. The water utility worked faster, but we were for very long without energy. Now I use this excellent opportunity to do something I wanted to for some time ago. I went to YouTube and other sites and made research on how to make an off-grid emergency solar power system because we need refrigeration in order to leave our forced diet of canned food. By the way, I want to thank FEMA and all the US agencies for the rations and water. What did I learn? That it was more complicated than I thought, but it is possible to do an affordable emergency system to produce energy from the sun. The Earth is bombarded constantly with infrared radiation from the sun, and we are wasting it each time we burn fossil means to produce energy. Well, there are other considerations regarding efficiency and low cost, but I'm not talking about the power utilities, but about the gas-powered generator versus a solar power system. The first thing you need to know is how to calculate the storage capacity needed. And the formula is this. Multiply the voltage of the battery or batteries by the amperage of it and divide the total by the load. If your battery is 200 amperes and 12 volts, then you multiply 12 by 200. The load is the total wattage of all the appliances you wish to use. This formula will give you the total time you can use your system without having to turn off your inverter because of low voltage. Remember that usually we have in-home low-efficient appliances. By example, a fridge is a 800 wattage appliance and a desktop is a 400 wattage appliance, so it's recommendable to change them for more efficient items like a laptop that consumes just 50 watts and a little fridge that consumes 108 watts. I bought one to the Blue Crew that uses just 1.8 amperes per hour. Next thing to know, buy an inverter that fills your water needs. You need to know the load that you will use. So do not expect a low wattage inverter to run an inefficient appliance, and if you will use appliances that uses motors, do not use a modified sine inverter. It's not that they will not work, but they will work in hot conditions and it can steal from your appliance half of his life. So, a very important thing to remember is to get a pure sine inverter. This type of inverter produces the same type of electricity as the power utility. It's important to know if your inverter runs with 12 or 24 or other voltage. This knowledge will guide you in which battery you will use and how you will interconnect your batteries if you have more than one. Here's it. Never ubiquitous an inverter in the same room you have your batteries. Some types of batteries can produce gases like hydrogen that once accumulated can explode with an electrical arc or a spark. So putting an inverter near your batteries is a no-no. Don't do it. Well, it leads us to the batteries. How to choose one. First, voltage. If your inverter uses 12 volts, then the battery needed has to be a 12 volts battery of batteries. My system is a 12 volt, so I will continue talking about the 12 volt system. Do not use a common car battery. The AGM batteries are excellent and recommended for solar systems. There are lots of solar AGM batteries in Amazon or in eBay. An AGM boat battery will do it fine. I know people that like golf cars batteries for this. I bought them solar, designed for it. Next thing to know is amperage. More amperage, more time your system can work without recharging. I believe the more important thing to remember about batteries is the type of batteries to use. There are 4 types of batteries. First, flooded battery. This battery needs maintenance and produces a lot of hydrogen when it is charging, so it is not recommendable if you want to reduce the risk of explosion. Second type, sealed lead acid. This battery is safer to be used indoors in offices and houses. They produce 60% less hydrogen than the flooded batteries. They are not totally sealed. They have small vents to breathe. The acid is contained in some type of mats in a form of gel, so they do not spill its content when broken like the flooded battery, and it doesn't need maintenance. Third, the always favorite, the gel battery. It needs more time to recharge, but many people prefer them because of the security issue. And fourth, the lithium battery. Yes, like in your mobile phone. Better to charge and discharge many times. Now, my system consists of 4 100-watt solar panels connected in parallel. This means that all the positives are connected together and all the negatives as well. For this connections you can buy a pair of 8-gauge wires. Black for the negatives and red for the positives. Do not forget that the less cable you use, the more efficient the system will be. You should probably need wire connectors. So make a diagram and find all you need on eBay or Amazon and whatever the market you like. These 2 polarities must be connected to a voltage controller that will protect your batteries from being overcharged. There are many solar charge controllers in affordable prices. If all your batteries are 12 volts and your inverter works with a nominal charge of 12 volts, then you should connect them in parallel. Like the panels, all the positives together and all the negatives together. It will leave the voltage in 12 volts, but the amperages will be added. Although I did it a little different, use the same batteries and do not mix old with new batteries. And by any means don't mix different types of batteries. If you use a lead acid, use all lead acid. Follow the manufacturer instructions in how to connect the controller. I used a hard 4-gauge wire to connect the inverter to the batteries because the wires that came with the inverter were too short. Although you should not put the inverter near the batteries, it has to be then irreplaceable in order not to use so much cable. And this should be done with the controller. Follow the manufacturer instructions to connect the inverter. Ground the inverter with an 8-gauge green wire or as recommended in your manual, and never forget to install a 40 amperage or the recommended in the manual fuse in the positive cable. Now I have a fridge working 24 hours a day with solar power and can watch TV and use the fans without consuming from the grid. I also has power when the utility fails. Thanks to YouTube, Amazon and eBay.